We're here in Manhattan with Rav Dr. Elie Abadie. He's a local Jewish community leader and also one of the leading figures in Yeshiva University's rabbinic ordination program for Sephardic Jews. Abadie, thank you very much for joining us at Arutz7. We wanted to ask you specifically regarding, we're a few days before the Israel Day Parade, one of the highlights of the year for the Jewish community in New York, and you are leading a movement that is somewhat revolutionary. You are, at least to an extent, boycotting the Israel Day Parade. Could you explain to us why you're doing that?
Okay, let me just correct you. We're not really boycotting the Israel Day Parade. We are protesting the inclusion in the parade of groups that support the BDS, the boycott, divestment and sanction against Israel, and specifically also against communities in Judea and Samaria. This problem is not a new problem. It's not the first time that it's appeared. It has appeared several years ago, and several years ago I have sent a letter to the leaders of the UJA and the JCRC requesting from them an explanation of how come they are allowing groups that are slightly anti-Zionist, that are undermining the state of Israel and undermining the Jewish people, to march in a parade that is to celebrate Israel. At that time, they promised me that they will take care of it. According to them, they took care of it, but apparently they did not, because if these groups are continuing to march, that means whatever they did, it wasn't sufficient enough. And so this year I sent another letter to them stating that unless those groups will not be permitted to march, my institutions will not march. I have 4 institutions that will not march this year in the parade because of that. Of course, what we're trying to do is trying to protest the inclusion of those groups. We're not boycotting the parade. We will be actually standing as public in the parade to show our support for the state of Israel. However, we will not be marching. The amount of support that the parade receives is either through marchers or through the public that is cheering the marchers. This year we will not be marching in protest. However, we will be standing to show our support for the state of Israel.
And your aim is to force the exclusion of these groups?
My aim is to bring to the attention of the Jewish leadership and the Jewish community that these groups are delegitimizing Israel, demonizing Israel, sanctioning Israel and its products in the world, and I'm trying to unveil their true face. They claim to be supportive of Israel, they claim to be pro-Israel and Zionist, but we know very well through research, extensive research done on these organizations, that they are undermining Israel, that they are supporting, boycotting Israel. They claim to be supportive of Israel, but there's nothing of that sort.
Of course, there are going to be some people who would argue that by not taking part in the parade or not marching in the parade, you're essentially ceding ground to these groups. Perhaps it could be argued that it would be better for you at least to have some kind of opposing voice within the parade to these views. What do you say to people who would argue that?
I mean, you might think that's a legitimate argument. There will be still plenty of organizations and institutions that they will be marching, because many of those institutions that they will not be marching, they thought that it was too late to do much about it for this year. However, we have the support of all of those institutions, communal institutions, that they will be waiting and trying to work very hard to make sure that next year those organizations that support BDS will not march.
How do you think those kind of groups have actually gotten to be included in the march in the first place? So that surely that's quite a fundamental question in itself.
That is a fundamental question, and I know almost exactly very well how come. One view of that leadership of the organizers of the parade is the more the merrier. The more people march to show support for Israel, the merrier. Not important what's their background, what they do or what they don't do. The more the merrier. And as long as they don't carry placards attacking Israel, then that's fine. Another view of the leadership of the organizers is that there are a legitimate other opinion about what Israel should be and how it can be. And so you have these two confluence of these two opinions as to why they should march, and that's why they are marching. Again, in a sense, one is that is just yet another valid opinion about Israel. Another one is the more the merrier. And we're trying to show those two organizations that organize the parade that those are not valid stands. One of them is the more the merrier, no, because then we could add the PLO maybe should march. We could add Nazi groups to march. As long as they're there, of course, we're not going to allow just anybody who says wants to march in support of Israel. Yet they are undermining Israel, the state of Israel, and the Jewish people to march. The second reason, are they really valid opinion? I do not think that they are valid opinion for one main reason. People may have difference of opinion of how Israel should be, the size of Israel, what kind of peace it should be made, and that is opinion that should be expressed at the ballot and in lobbying, but it should not be expressed by actions that are taken to undermine Israel, to punish Jews who are living in Judea and Samaria, and to really destroy livelihood of so many people and so many communities. People can have opinion that they don't like Judea and Samaria to be part of Israel. I respect that opinion. I may disagree with it, but that opinion should be taken up in the ballot box in the Knesset as lobby. The moment they take action into their hands, as though they're taking the law into their hands to punish Jews who live there, to punish Israel, to sacrifice people, livelihood and economic status, that is already unacceptable. I draw a red line on that. There's a difference between an opinion and action that hurts other people, and those organizations are hurting individuals, communities, cities, villages, and of course the state of Israel in general, and they make the Jewish people appear illegitimate in the eyes of the world.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Abadie, and I'm glad to hear that we will be seeing you at the parade.
Yes, I will be there to support the state of Israel. Of course, I will not be marching, and I hope that next year we will be marching, and those organizations that support the BDS will not.